Foxborough Day 2 was already shaping up to be another unforgettable night for BTS and ARMY, but something happened during the evening that completely changed the atmosphere inside the stadium. What began as another massive celebration quickly turned into an emotional moment, especially when Jungkook and Jimin shared words that many fans immediately interpreted as deeply meaningful. The energy around Foxborough had been building long before the lights went down. Outside the stadium, thousands of fans gathered wearing purple, carrying banners, holding signs, and talking about every possible detail from the previous day. Inside, the anticipation was even stronger. ARMY knew they were about to experience another major BTS performance, but few could have expected just how emotional the night would become. From the opening moments, the connection between BTS and the audience was impossible to ignore. The crowd responded to every appearance, every movement, every song, and every interaction. The stadium seemed to transform into a sea of lights, with fans singing along and creating an atmosphere that felt much bigger than a traditional concert. But as the night progressed, the mood began to shift. Jungkook and Jimin eventually became the center of attention during a particularly emotional interaction with the audience. Their presence alone was enough to send the crowd into another wave of excitement, but it was the feeling behind their words that made the moment stand out. Instead of simply delivering the kind of closing remarks fans might expect at a concert, the two members appeared to focus on appreciation, memories, and the relationship between BTS and ARMY. The message felt personal enough that fans immediately began discussing it across social media. And this is where the small detail becomes important, because sometimes it isn't the biggest statement that creates the strongest reaction. Sometimes it is one sentence, one pause, one expression, or one subtle change in tone that makes an entire stadium realize that a moment means more than it first appeared. That was exactly what happened during this Foxborough night. Jungkook has always had a distinctive way of communicating with fans. Whether he is performing on stage or speaking during quieter moments, his expressions can often say as much as his words. During this occasion, his tone appeared more reflective, creating a noticeable contrast with the explosive energy that had filled the stadium only moments earlier. Jimin, standing alongside him, added another emotional layer to the moment. Known for his warm connection with ARMY, Jimin's words seemed to reinforce the idea that concerts like this are not simply performances. They are shared memories. They are moments that artists and fans experience together and eventually carry with them long after the lights disappear. That sentiment struck ARMY particularly hard. Fans who had been cheering moments earlier suddenly found themselves becoming emotional. Some reactions online focused on Jungkook's expression. Others highlighted Jimin's delivery. Still others pointed out how the two members seemed to complement each other naturally during the interaction. But the story becomes even more meaningful when the moment is viewed through the larger history of BTS. Jungkook and Jimin were not standing there as two isolated performers. They were representing a group whose journey has been shaped by 7 members, countless stages, years of music, and an enormous relationship with fans around the world. That is why Jin, Suga, J-Hope, and V are also part of this story. Every emotional BTS moment carries the history of the entire group. When Jungkook speaks about memories, fans naturally remember the years he spent growing alongside the other members. When Jimin talks about gratitude, ARMY remembers the countless stages shared with Jin, Suga, J-Hope, V, and Jungkook. Even when only 2 members are standing at the center of a particular moment, the identity of BTS remains connected to all 7. That is what made the Foxborough Day 2 moment feel so significant. The audience wasn't simply reacting to 2 members speaking. They were reacting to the history behind those 2 members. Jungkook and Jimin have spent years performing together, traveling together, creating music together, and sharing unforgettable moments with the rest of BTS. Their friendship and stage chemistry have become familiar to ARMY, but moments like this can still feel surprisingly powerful because they remind fans just how much time has passed and how much BTS has experienced together. The Foxborough crowd seemed to understand that immediately. The atmosphere became increasingly emotional as the members continued connecting with the audience. Instead of feeling like a routine concert exchange, the moment carried the atmosphere of a personal conversation between artists and fans. And then came the detail that caught so much attention. Jungkook's expression changed. It was subtle, but fans noticed. For a performer accustomed to enormous stages, cameras, and thousands of screaming fans, a small emotional emotional pause can be incredibly revealing. That brief shift in expression gave the audience the impression that Jungkook was not simply delivering prepared remarks. He appeared to be taking in the moment himself. Jimin's reaction added to that feeling. The two members seemed aware of the emotional atmosphere surrounding them, and rather than rushing through it, they allowed the moment to breathe. That small decision made the crowd even louder. ARMY responded with cheers, light sticks, and voices filling the stadium. The reaction demonstrated just how strong the emotional connection remains between BTS and their fans. For viewers watching clips afterward, the moment became even more fascinating because different fans noticed different details. Some focused on Jungkook, some focused on Jimin, some focused on the crowd, and many immediately connected the moment to the other five members. RM's leadership, Jin's warmth, SUGA's calm presence, J-Hope's energy, and V's unique personality have all contributed to the identity that BTS carries wherever they go. The group's individual personalities are different, but that contrast has always been part of what makes BTS so compelling. At Foxborough, that larger identity seemed to be present even in the smallest exchange. The stadium was filled with memories. Every song represented a different chapter. Every chant carried years of fan support. Every banner represented someone who had followed BTS through different eras, different challenges, different stages, and different parts of the world. That is why the emotional response to Jungkook and Jimin felt so intense. It wasn't only about what they said, it was about what those words represented. For many fans, seeing Jungkook and Jimin standing together at such a huge American venue served as another reminder of how far BTS has traveled. From early stages to global stadiums, the members have experienced a transformation that few artists ever achieve, and ARMY has been there throughout that journey. The Foxborough crowd became part of that history on this night. The chants became louder, the lights became brighter, and the emotional atmosphere continued to grow. Yet the most interesting part was that the moment didn't need a dramatic announcement to become memorable. There was no need for an enormous revelation. There was simply a sense that Jungkook and Jimin understood how meaningful the night was. That feeling traveled through the stadium. It reached the fans standing near the stage, those sitting farther away, and eventually those watching clips online. The reaction demonstrated something important about BTS's relationship with ARMY. Fans are not only attached to songs or performances, they are attached to memories. They remember small gestures. They remember expressions. They remember the way a member says something. They remember the feeling inside a stadium when everyone sings together. And sometimes, those details become more powerful than any headline. Foxborough Day 2 appeared to create one of those moments. The night continued, but the emotional atmosphere remained. Jungkook and Jimin had managed to turn a massive stadium performance into something that felt surprisingly intimate. And as fans looked back on the moment, another thought became impossible to ignore. BTS has always been seven. Even when one or two members take the spotlight, the story behind them includes all seven. Jin's journey, RM's leadership, SUGA's artistry, J-Hope's performance energy, Jimin's emotional sensitivity, V's individuality, and Jungkook's evolution all form one larger story. That is the story ARMY was celebrating at Foxborough. And that is why this particular moment felt bigger than a simple concert interaction. But the night wasn't finished, because what happened afterward gave fans another reason to look closely at everything Jungkook and Jimin had said. And one small detail from that exchange may be the part that ARMY remembers long after Foxborough Day 2 is over.